Ladies and gentlemen, it's this time of the week again. It's Gamescussion. Today, me and Carlos are going to talk about mobile gaming and mobile games. Let's start off right from the beginning. 1997 must be one of the first mobile games, at least for me, with the Nokia phones. Snake. A simple idea. Uh, did you play it, Carlos?
Yeah, surely I do. It's an absolute classic, and I think I don't know if it was like the first or it was definitely one of the first mobile games, but I feel like that was the first like major hit as a mobile game. Like you didn't see that kind of a game on any other uh, console really at that time. When you think about,
No,
I know something like Tetris. You had Tetris on phones as well back then, but that was a popular
yeah.
like Game Boy for Game Boys and stuff.
Yeah, actually, the earliest known mobile phone game was actually Tetris.
Yeah, well there you go. Yeah.
It was available for a phone which I have never heard of, and sorry for butchering the name. It's Hagenuk MT2000 in 1994 when it was available for that phone. But since then, the mobile gaming industry has basically it's blown up. It's a big business. Everybody wants a piece of it, and it's the same thing basically with apps. And you, if you can imagine something, there must be a game made out of it for mobile devices. But the level of gameplay and the quality of game, the gap between the best ones and the absolute bottom worst ones are is just huge.
I mean, it is so easy or like, I'm not saying easy because I do have experience in actually making a mobile game since I had to do one for a school project. But if you have like some kind of knowledge about coding, it shouldn't be too hard to make your own game. And then, since you can pretty much freely upload those to the App Store and whatnot, so that's, your the market gets flooded by these, let's say, second class mobile games and apps.
Uh, if you think about it, in 2007, internationally, globally, over 3 billion US dollars were made with mobile games. And the projected annual growth of it is 40%. So imagine what kind of a business it must be. And in consideration also this, that mobile games, you always carry your phone with you wherever you go. So basically, they're always available. But the challenge with mobile games is that you have to battle for people's free time against, well, conventional gaming. Then there is also all kind of streaming services like Twitch and Netflix, HBOs, and your Amazon Primes. What they want to do with their family, then social media sites and stuff like that. And still, people find time to play mobile games with billions and billions of dollars. Let's talk a little bit about highest grossing mobile games, which have made the most money. You sent me actually this link, so you can start. Do you know any of the top three games mentioned there? Monster Strike, Puzzle and Dragons, or Arena of Valor? Do you know any of those?
I might have like seen an ad for them, but I have no idea what the games are about. Like
Yeah.
sort of like I know they're probably gonna be like they're probably all like either like some kind of puzzle games or they're strategy games of some sort. Because I feel like that's the most popular category for these games. But I've never personally even like I have no idea I wouldn't be able to identify those games just by looking at them.
Strike and Puzzle and Dragons, they are puzzle games. And then you have Arena of Valor, which is a multiplayer online battle arena game. The next three games I actually know: Clash of Clans, Candy Crush Saga, and Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I know all of those three as well. That's kind of
Yeah,
sort of like not that I played them myself, but I am aware of them.
yeah. Let's talk a bit first about those puzzle games, if it's okay for you. If you think about puzzle games and how they are compiled, basically there are levels which you have to complete in order to progress on some sort of map.
Yeah,
Uh, have you ever thought of it that the levels or the graphics in the map, they are just to use you basically? In the basic meaning, it's still the same game all the way through. Okay, your level changes a bit. You have some sort. You don't have some big level, or you have a huge level, or whatever it is. But all those graphics are meant to create an illusion of progression. Okay, yeah, I got to. If we take Candy Crush Saga, I don't know any of those areas in that game, but okay, we have Lollipop Village, and when I complete 15, I get to Chocolate Factory, basically. You get what I mean?
yeah. I think it's like to just create the illusion of, like you said, the illusion of progress, and 'cause these are like major time wasters for people. Like when you're maybe have a few minutes to spend, or you're bored, you might like spend time in it, and the fact that when you get through a level and you just see yourself like move up. I know, I'm pretty sure like I haven't played it myself, but Candy Crush Saga has like sort of a map where you see you progressing upwards
Yeah,
whenever you beat a level, so you can see like it goes ahead and you want to see what's next and stuff like that. And it sort of reminds me, even though it's not nearly the same thing, but it sort of like reminds me of like those graphics that basically like it's always going to be like there's a lot of similar puzzle games, and they just have
yeah,
these crazy graphics that have nothing to do with the game. Because when you remember like seeing back in like well, I've never been to a really like an arcade, but I've seen like pinball machines out, and you remember like those always have some kind of a flashy graphics and stuff, but every time it's the exact same game though.
yeah. And
Yeah,
people, whenever, if you think back to the 80s, a new pinball machine arrived. Everybody wanted to play that because, it's a new game. Okay, yeah, we got the new Terminator pinball machine here. Yeah, come on and play. Oh, and people went. I get it, I get it. Uh, but the biggest problem for me, like you said, they are time wasters. But the biggest problem also with puzzle games that you have some sort of life counter. You have 5 lives, and 5 times you lose all those lives, and then you have to wait for your lives to come back. That's what brings again the microtransaction hell. You can buy, for example, infinite lives. I don't know what you get out of it, but you can do that. You can buy in-game currency to improve your characters, or whatever it is in those puzzle games. Or if you think about Clash of Clans, also it works the same way. And okay, puzzle games do have some kind of a gameplay. You have to think in those games. But if you think about Clash of Clans, do you really have to play it, or is it just basically waiting?
yeah. Well, actually, I'm not saying that I'm familiar with Clash of Clans. I'm actually not that familiar with the gameplay, but I'm assuming it's one of those where you sort of like build a village or whatever, like a city,
Yeah,
and then
and
you
you
just
wait
send
for
sort of
6 hours to
yeah.
get it done.
But still,
Y-
and actually, and talking about Clash of Clans, I don't know how much you can like affect the gameplay elements without paying. Like how easy it's for people to for a person who doesn't buy any microtransaction, how easy it's for him to compete with someone who does regularly purchase these boosters and whatnot. So I don't know,
Yeah,
like
using his daddy's credit card to buy all kinds of boosters and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I don't know how big of an effect that actually has. So it's hard for me to say
I
that.
well, I would say it has a huge effect. Basically, buy your way out of repairing your walls of city or whatever it is. But the problem for me is that what's the end goal? Games that have an end goal, end game, so to say. But I have no idea what kind of an end game Clash of Clans has, or what kind of an end game Candy Crush Saga has, or whatever of those. What I mean about gameplay, basically, it's all the same. The gameplay doesn't change that much at any point. It's basically you do same things over and over and over and over and over again.
I think to like we said earlier, like these being time wasters and
Yeah.
something you do when you're bored. I think that's kind of because I do enjoy a lot of games that you play through, like story based games, single player games,
Yeah.
and I treat those like sort of like as an art form, like you would a movie and stuff like that. But also, it's kind of a hypocritical for me to say personally, like that I dislike the idea of these games that have no end game, like you said, like they just continue. But then again, I do spend thousands of hours playing multiplayer shooter games, which basically do have the same thing. Like it's not
Yeah.
like playing Overwatch or Counter Strike. You're gonna unlock anything by continuously playing them. You're gonna be playing the same levels over and over again with the same content. But I just feel
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, but I know what you mean. That the content basically stays the same in FPS shooters, but there are millions and millions of situations you can get yourself in playing those kind of games, and with these kind of games, there's just isn't millions of
oh no
situations you
no
can
no no,
get
I know
yourself in.
I do understand they're more complex, of course, but also I have to think like the because this is gonna sound like very kind of a hard word to I don't know if I want to use it, but when you talk about like casual gamers and hardcore gamers or whatever,
Yeah,
like you a lot of like mobile, because you have to, the reason these games are so popular, uh, these
because
mobile games, is because there's
their
because
whole mom play them.
yeah, because you think about like how many of your friends own a. There's a lot of, I'm sure that like, you have a lot of friends who do not own a gaming console or a gaming PC, but pretty much everybody has a smartphone nowadays, or at least a phone.
Now you're
Even like,
making an assumption that I have friends.
oh yeah, like yeah, that's obviously not
It's a big assumption that I
yeah,
have friends.
especially for us people who actually play like real games, air
Yeah.
quotations. We don't have time for these idiots who play mobile games. But what I'm saying is like you might think about how many people own mobile phones compared to like consoles, and it's easy to see why these games are so popular, because a lot more people have access to them.
Yeah, that's true, and they are easily available. You don't have to fire up a console or a PC in order to play them.
Yeah, you just whip out
But
your phone and that's that.
is it okay if we move on to a different title? Uh, I want to talk a bit about Pokemon Go because in my head, that great idea, even herb idea from Niantic to develop that augmented reality game. If as a game, it wasn't that complex and all. Okay, you go around and find Pokemon and try to get the strongest Pokemon available to you. But if you think about what it created, 4 years ago, it made people move a lot more. I 4 years ago, I was still driving as a living, and if you think about it, 5 years back, eh, you saw some kids moving around in the streets or playing outside or doing whatever kids do. But with Pokemon Go, well, it created dangerous situations. I cannot deny that. When people go and just look on their phones and walk wherever they, but if you think about it, a lot more people moving outside just to try and get those Pokemons. That, in that light, I think it was a great idea for a game to activate people differently. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, yeah. I'm like more interested in the whole aspect of the like the game and of the like the mechanics of the game and stuff like that. Like as an augmented reality mobile game, I think it's fantastic to see that. And obviously, yeah, I'm glad that kids are maybe more enjoying more staying outside, or where I don't know if people still play it. Since obviously I don't go outside, I don't see these people, and I don't play it myself. So, but I think like when you're talking about these mobile games, I do have to say that like there are a few examples like Pokemon where I think they created something that they couldn't do. Like you couldn't do that game on a console. Like nobody's gonna be walking around with an Xbox and like a TV with you or like a
Yeah.
PC. So you had to do that way, and I think that's fantastic the way they were able to use the phone to their advantage on that one.
Yeah, although I can imagine it draining a lot of battery using the camera and stuff like that. But
Yeah, you know, you get like, and also I do have to. I'm pretty sure it's also has a microtransaction system. So if we talk about that, I don't think that
yeah,
game is free of that sin. So
well, but in nowadays, if you think about any game, any multiplayer game or stuff, they try to force that microtransaction shit to everywhere right now. But games. Okay, you got your Pokemon Go, which has 1 billion players. You have your Candy Crush Saga, which has 1 billion players. Then there is also 1 billion players in Subway Surfers, which is basically a platformer game. You run on an endless gauntlet and try to avoid all kind of obstacles. But then there is also Player Unknown's Battleground mobile version. I've never played it, but I can imagine it's some sort better gameplay if you compare it to well of one of also one very much played game which is one dumpster fire in itself.
this video is brought to
One
you
train
by.
wreck. No, it isn't, and it will never be. We can promise you, it will never be brought to you by which is a train wreck.
But
But
talking about like you mentioned player unknown battlegrounds, and I know Fortnite is also quite popular on mobile
yeah, yeah,
among like a younger audience definitely. And but I think like this is gonna sound like really this is like my opinion purely, but you know you hear these old really old like directors, film directors, and you know they complain about people who don't go to the cinema. They don't watch movies on the big screen anymore. They just watch
yeah,
them at home at TV and stuff like that. I feel I feel like with these games, I have sort of the same stand. Like if it's a PC game or a console game, like Player Unknown or Fortnite, I don't feel like you're really getting the true experience out of it while you're playing the game on a phone.
yeah. But well, I don't know if PUBG Mobile does it cost anything. I don't know if Fortnite costs anything for mobile version. I have no idea if they're paid games or not. But if you think about it, it's an affordable option for those who cannot afford, for example, a console or a PC you can use to play newer games. It's an affordable option. If you think about games, they cost what, 3 euros or 5 euros or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I do like when we talked about earlier, like the availability of these games is much higher than those on consoles. But I also feel like it's kind of a cheap trick to make a game like that's if you like thinking it from the developer's side. Like obviously these games weren't designed to be played on a phone. I think. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I don't see myself playing FPS games ever on mobile. Uh, then there is one game which I actually have played. 300 million players worldwide, uh, from a studio called Rovio Entertainment. Angry Birds took over the world with a storm. They also had a good idea for puzzle game, and they used the physics that game. It was something completely new for mass audiences.
I never really got into playing uh, Angry Birds. I always have tried it on other people's phones, and then also I've tried the PC version of it. And you know, like as a game, it's a fun time waster, but does suffer from a lot of the same things of repeated thing, and I couldn't
Yeah.
like spend hours upon hours on a game like.
But all in all, I'm quite happy that there is mobile gaming available because, um, the more the merrier, so to say. But not all mobile games are good. Most of them are shit, in my opinion. But there are few mobile gaming that are good and bring some kind of content.
One of the things actually I forgot to mention. I wanted to bring it up at the start when you
Go
mentioned
on ahead.
Snake. And you also remember like other like old like back when mobile games were basically the ones that you had on your phone when you got it. And I remember like
Yeah.
alongside Snake on those old Nokia phones, you had the space shooter game.
Space Attack.
Yeah, maybe
Was
I
it
can't
Space
remember the
Attack?
name. And it's probably Space something, because like they always name those. But I remember that one. And then a few years after that, you had Bounce, which was a huge thing. You had colors on your phone, and it was amazing to have this red ball jumping through golden hoops.
Yeah, oh, I can remember that too. It was Space Impact, the
Space
game.
Impact was yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
That was an old classic. I remember playing that on my mom's phone all the time.
yeah. Yeah, the first color phones you get, there was the bounce game, and a platformer with a ball. But let's make a conclusion to this episode right here. Uh, I think mobile games are a good thing. They provide entertainment to people who want to enjoy them, and it really doesn't matter if you want to game on your phone. Just game on your phone. It's okay to me. And well, there is a lot of money in play in those mobile games. They do some questionable things here and there, but as long as there is a lot of money moving, they're gonna continue doing those so-called questionable things. And well, it is just what it is. But what about you?
Yeah, I don't mind people. I don't blame people for like. I'm not a fan of them, and a lot of the time I wish a lot of those games wouldn't exist. I think there's a few fine examples of mobile games, but a lot of them are just like so obviously made to hook people in and get addicted to them and then pay microtransactions and whatnot. But you do what you gotta do, and I don't blame the people who play these games, more the developers than anything. And and it's also obviously it's great to see like the advances we have made in the years from coming from like those games like Snake and Space Impact to what we have nowadays.
I want to thank each and every one of you watching this. You can leave a comment to us if you enjoyed it. Leave a like. If you didn't like it, leave a dislike. It's all the feedback we get is important in order to develop our show. And if you have some kind of suggestions of what would you like to hear, we are open for that discussion too. But for now, we'll see you next time.